Our first panelist, the first person we're going to speak to, is the Congress MP, Karti Chidambaram. Now, we told you a little while earlier about the motion that the Congress and other opposition parties hope to have passed in the Lok Sabha. This is, of course, the no confidence motion, and the hope is that the Prime Minister will have to enter the Parliament. But I took this question, and I want to take this question now to Karti too. Karti, thank you for joining us. Karti, I want to ask you, tell us, how will this motion help address the Manipur issue? What is the plan here?
See, I'm not sure whether that's the decision our collective of parties have taken, and I'm not privy to it. But the point is, we want to force the Prime Minister to come to the House. We want the Prime Minister to respect the institution of Parliament. We want the Prime Minister to use the floor of the House for him to say what he has to say and for us to react to that. Perhaps if that is the line of thinking of our alliance, that will force the Prime Minister to come and reply. Perhaps this is perhaps a last resort on our part. But as I said, I'm not privy to that decision if that's the course of action we are taking.
Okay. So the question that a number of media outlets have wanted to understand is what is going to be the opposition strategy in the Parliament going forward? The monsoon session has quite a few days left. It's going to go on till about halfway in August. What's the plan going forward?
See, I'm not the leadership of my party. I'm definitely not the leadership of our alliance. So I really can't speak for my party and my alliance in that capacity. But our position is very clear. The Prime Minister must come to the floor of the House and make a statement about the status of affairs in Manipur and what his government is doing to bring the situation back to normal. After which we can have a detailed discussion where every political party will participate. The Prime Minister is a member of the House. He must respect Parliament. He must come, especially when Parliament is in session, he must take the House into confidence. We are in a parliamentary democracy, not in a presidential form of government where the President makes an occasional visit to address the Parliament and goes away, like in America when they come and address the State of the Union address when the joint session is held. Here, Prime Minister is a member of the House. He must participate in parliamentary proceedings. He must answer questions posed to him. He must participate in debate. And he must make statements on the floor of the House. This is our position at the moment. What we will do if the government does not relent is something only the leadership of my party and the leadership of our alliance can take.
Okay. So I now want to take to you a question that was perhaps the biggest question to emerge out of the session yesterday. There was a disagreement. On one side, you had the BJP saying, let's do a short discussion. And on the other side, you had opposition members saying, let's suspend the business of the day. Let's have a longer discussion. The seriousness of Manipur deserves it. Now, at the same time, sir, a number of BJP leaders asked, why can't opposition parties agree, have a shorter discussion, allow that shorter discussion to start, then we'll see. So to that, what is your reply?
The shorter discussion is for a very limited time. It will simply not behove the gravity of the crisis which Manipur is facing for us all to articulate our points of view within that very specific time. It's only about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. The multiple political parties will hardly get any time to articulate a view, and that's unacceptable. What is happening in Manipur, one must understand, is unprecedented. This is ethnic violence which is happening there. And if this spirals out of control, it's probably out of control even now, if it spirals out of control and spills over to the neighboring areas of the northeast, it will be catastrophic. I mean, we have had examples of Hutu and Tutsi in the world. We don't want those kind of things to be repeated in our country.
Okay. But sir, I want to press a little harder here and almost ask you that question again. The BJP leaders that we've spoken to so far are saying, start with the shorter discussion. And the tricky thing here is that when they're saying, at least let this issue be discussed, the opposition is preventing the topic from being discussed at all. To that, sir, how is the opposition going to reply?
Why don't we start with the Prime Minister making a suo motu statement?
Okay. All right. So I want to ask you, the Prime Minister took a jibe at the opposition alliance today in the morning, where he said in a statement that the word India, he was obviously making a reference to the name of the opposition alliance, the 26 parties that came together in Bengaluru. They're called I.N.D.A, and he said that I.N.D.I.A, India, is also something you find in the title of the East India Company that was founded by foreign nationals, as was the Congress. He's also made statements about the PFI. Sir, how is the Congress responding to this? How are you responding to this?
This is rather an obtuse attitude of the This is rather an obtuse attitude by the Prime Minister of India. I'm very disappointed that he has decided to diss us for choosing a name India for our alliance. Obviously, there are elements which use the name India for purposes which might not be very kosher with our national security, but does not mean that you diss the name of India completely. Anyway, anagrams and slogans don't win elections. It's actually the substance which will win elections. People of India will decide whether they want a secular, democratic, constitutionally driven government or a divisive government, what the India is offering. Let us leave it to the people of India. But this kind of churlish, obtuse criticism for our naming our alliance India is completely uncalled for. But it also shows that the Prime Minister is paying attention to us. And it also shows that it's perhaps touching a raw nerve. So it's obviously working that we have got his attention, which is a good thing. And I'm sure we will grab the attention of the people of India, who will clearly see the contrast between what we are offering and what the NDA has been delivering for the last 9 years.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank